What is going on with the DoorDash driver in the case of Bryan Kohberger and the Idaho 4 murders? More questions are being asked than answers are being given. Today, we are going to look at what happened, what it means, and what's next in the case of Bryan Kohberger and the DoorDash driver. I'm Tony Bruschi. Thanks for joining us. Please, before we get into what happened, hit subscribe wherever you are watching this so you don't miss any of our content that we put out for you every single day on this case and the many cases we cover for you here at True Crime Today and the Hidden Killers podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, in the comments section, let us know what you think of this piece of the case. We're going to go into what is going on here. What happened? Why are so many people talking about this DoorDash driver? Well, let's break it down. The night of the murders and the DoorDash delivery in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, those four University of Idaho students, Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez, were tragically stabbed to death in their off-campus home minutes before the killings unfolded. At precisely around 4 a.m., Xana Kernodle received a routine DoorDash delivery from Jack in the Box, delivered by a local woman known only publicly as MM. At the time, the DoorDash driver's involvement seemed minimal, providing only a timestamp to investigators that would become pivotal in reconstructing the precise sequence of events leading up to the murders. Police documents initially cited this delivery solely as timeline confirmation, with no mention or suspicious vehicles, or no mention of suspicious vehicles or persons observed by the driver. And that is key, because our memories do not improve with time. Our memories have to be recalled every time we want to bring them back up. It is not a videotape and you're just playing it back. That's how you can get false memories. That's how you can get things in memories that the rest is real, but that part might not be. All I'm saying is, if she saw him in that car that night, I think that might have been something she would have brought up to the police when questioned. I would think. Although I've said in another episode, what if she just really didn't want to get involved? She'd already gone through so much trauma. And now this. I could see someone saying, didn't see anything, just to get them away. Or did she say something and we just don't know about it? It is one of those things where it is sealed up. It's another question we just don't truly know the full answer to yet. For months, the driver's role appeared to be nothing more than a tragic coincidence, an everyday food delivery overshadowed by the subsequent horror that unfolded inside that house. The DoorDash driver's recent shocking revelation on bodycam footage is what everyone is talking about. And it's a revelation to the general public, but is it a revelation to the case itself? That is something we truly do not know the answer to. That could be sealed. To nearly 2 years later, in June of 25, just if you're listening to this or watching this right when we're making it, it's still June of 25. Explosive new information surfaced from old body cam footage recorded during a completely unrelated traffic stop in Pullman, Washington. That was on the night of September 4th, 2024. Police pulled the DoorDash driver over on suspicion of impaired driving due to alleged prescription drug use. As the officer interacted with her, the clearly distressed woman spontaneously began discussing her involvement in the Kohberger case. She explicitly stated multiple times and with visible anxiety that she would be testifying in the big murder case, directly referencing the infamous Idaho murders. Then came the bombshell. I saw Bryan there. I parked right next to him, she insisted. She repeated this detail, stressing it multiple times on the body cam footage, emphasizing both her direct visual identification of Bryan Kohberger and the exact placement of her vehicle relative to his. At one point, clearly emotional and visibly shaken, she further explained to the officer that the stress of testifying in such a high profile case had severely impacted her mental health, contributing to ongoing issues with anxiety and prescription medication. Prior to this body cam footage emerging, there was never any public record or indication that the DoorDash driver claimed to have directly observed Kohberger at or near the scene that night, transforming what initially appeared a minor logistical detail into potentially crucial eyewitness testimony. So why is this new information raising credibility questions? Well, that's a good question. The revelation quickly raised a ton of eyebrows. But why? Why was the crucial eyewitness information only coming out now on body cam footage from an unrelated incident rather than earlier through official channels? It remained unclear whether law enforcement was previously aware of this claim or if this footage represented the driver's first ever disclosure of having spotted Kohberger. The delay in public reporting such a vital detail inevitably cast doubts, raising concerns that perhaps her memory of events has evolved over time due to extended or external influences, particularly widespread media coverage of Kohberger's face and the white Hyundai Elantra associated with him. Defense attorneys could strongly suggest that her identification is the product of hindsight bias, influenced by or contaminated by images of Kohberger prominently featured in news stories, rather than an authentic recollection from that night. The DoorDash driver's personal struggles and legal problems add further complexity. The driver's personal history and recent behavior introduce a lot of potential pitfalls. During the September 2024 incident, when she was pulled over by Pullman police, officers arrested her for allegedly driving under the influence of prescription medication. The video portrays a woman clearly grappling with intense emotional distress, including PTSD related to the violent death of her husband in 2013. She candidly described the pressure and anxiety she was under, specifically citing the stress of testifying in the upcoming murder trial. This arrest and the documented emotional instability have raised understandable concerns regarding her reliability as a witness or how a jury may interpret her. Although personal struggles alone do not discredit testimony, they do provide defense attorneys a compelling narrative to challenge her memory, judgment, and overall credibility when the case eventually goes to trial. So what does all of this mean? Those are the facts. That's what's happened. What does it mean? What could her testimony do? Could it strengthen the prosecution's case? Well, if prosecutors successfully present the DoorDash driver as a credible eyewitness, her testimony could dramatically bolster their case against Kohberger. Eyewitness accounts resonate powerfully with jurors because they offer a direct, humanizing connection to the accused. The driver's statement, explicitly placing Kohberger physically at the scene within minutes of the murders, can significantly enhance circumstantial forensic evidence such as DNA and cell phone data, instead of merely suggesting Kohberger was near the area around the relevant time frame. Prosecutors could directly argue to jurors that he was literally observed by an independent witness moments before committing the crime. Such testimony could greatly enhance the clarity and emotional impact of the prosecution's timeline narrative. So, why the timing of her statements? How it could damage the prosecution? Well, conversely, if you look at it the other way, the timing and circumstances surrounding the DoorDash driver's claims pose serious credibility issues if indeed it emerges that she did not report seeing Kohberger until well after his arrest and widespread media coverage. The defense could persuasively argue that her identification was retroactively influenced, unintentionally shaped by seeing Kohberger's image repeatedly broadcast as the prime suspect. And I'm not saying she did. I'm not saying she didn't. I don't know the answer to that question. And I don't know that she knows the answer to that question either. I could see how that could work. I was the DoorDash driver, you tell a friend. You were? I mean, did you see him? No, I didn't see him. You can start questioning yourself. Well, did I see him? Maybe I might have seen something. Next person asks, see him? Think I might have. I saw something, and it keeps kind of going. And then eventually you almost inch yourself there. And, you're telling a big piece of a big story to friends. Sometimes people embellish, and then sometimes you say it enough and you believe it. And that happens to anybody. That's nothing special. It's nothing strange. I'm accusing her at all. It's called a false memory. And it can happen that way, or it can just happen because of trauma, or it can happen because of so many different paths that one may take with their brain trying to comprehend what you just went through. Jurors naturally view delayed revelations with suspicion, particularly if there's any indication of evolving memories or external influences shaping recollections over time. And yeah, there's some history there that may be questioned. The driver's documented struggles with anxiety, PTSD, and prescription drug issues introduce further credibility challenges. They just do. And I am not blaming her or saying she's a bad person or anything. Now, I hope she's getting the help that she needs. And it looks like she's been trying, but she's been through a lot. So I wish her all the best. But these are also things that the defense will jump on. The defense may attempt to persuade jurors that these circumstances call her overall reliability into question, arguing that emotional instability or medication use might affect her memory accuracy or the clarity of her observations. Although her mental health struggles are undoubtedly sympathetic, in a court of law, any perceived impairment could negatively impact jurors' perception of her trustworthiness. It is what it is. So, if you haven't pressed subscribe yet, do that. I'm going to talk about what's next here. And if you haven't commented yet on our YouTube channel about this, please, what are your thoughts on this specific issue in this specific case? I'm really curious to see that. So what's next? What's on the horizon here? Well, pretrial hearings to determine the admissibility of her testimony. Before jurors hear her story, expect intense pretrial litigation regarding her testimony. Prosecutors will vigorously seek to exclude prejudicial aspects of her personal history, particularly the arrest for impaired driving and mental health struggles, as irrelevant or overly prejudicial. The defense, conversely, will argue those factors are directly relevant to her credibility and reliability as an eyewitness. It's just going to set the stage for fierce courtroom battles even before the trial officially begins, so buckle up. And high-stakes cross-examination would be anticipated if the driver testifies. Her cross-examination is going to be one of the trial's critical moments. The defense's attorneys will meticulously challenge every aspect of her memory and observations, probing her recollection of events, her mental state at the time of the delivery, and especially the reasons behind her late reporting of seeing Kohberger. Prosecutors, on the other hand, have to carefully guide her testimony, attempting to clarify and contextualize her delayed disclosure to maintain her credibility. Big hurdles. And then the possible clarification of the timelines and the initial statements. What about that? Well, during trial proceedings, we should finally obtain clarity regarding precisely when she initially informed authorities of seeing Kohberger. Till then, it really is anyone's guess. And this is just the time she verbally spilled it and it came out on camera. Probably wasn't even cognizant of that in that moment that she was in. So if at all, prior to this newly surfaced video, we'll see if it's been said. If it turns out she reported seeing Kohberger early on, information previously unknown due to the gag order, then prosecutors could significantly rehabilitate her credibility. If, however, she only made these claims after Kohberger's arrest and media coverage intensified, it could profoundly damage the strength of her testimony. So we'll see what she said. And that's going to be under that gag order for probably till the trial. But the trial's not far away. Eyewitness testimony can profoundly sway juries, carrying immense emotional and narrative weight. The DoorDash driver's testimony could become a dramatic courtroom moment, vividly placing Bryan Kohberger at the scene moments before 4 young lives were brutally ended. Yet this same witness carries considerable risk, delayed revelations, complicated personal history, and documented emotional struggles. This is not about questioning Kohberger's guilt, nor does the entire prosecution hinge on this one witness. Yet, how jurors perceive her, whether as a flawed but fundamentally honest citizen or as an unreliable witness, compromised by personal struggles, could subtly shift quite a bit. And their view of the prosecution's overall narrative. The upcoming trial will test whether the prosecution's gamble on her testimony pays off, if they use it, or becomes a significant vulnerability, potentially introducing reasonable doubt into a case that prosecutors have otherwise painstakingly built. Tell me what you think in the comment section on YouTube. I'd love to see it. Again, I'm not saying anything negative about this woman. She has been through a lot. And I can't say how I would be had I been in her shoes for the struggles that she's had in her life and the traumas that she's had. So, my God. And then to have this, just talk about unlucky? I don't know. I mean, it's almost like, God. And this is something, how random as well to be caught up into. So I wish her all the best. So I don't want to say anything negative about the driver. I'm curious what you think about the timing and if it is a false memory, if it is something that just kind of got there, or, she's just finally saying it aloud, or somebody caught it aloud on camera and now it's this and that. It's speculation, but I'm curious. And how she would play as a witness. That's a big thing, because they would exploit her, and it's kind of a gamble. You got someone saying like a really, really important thing about the case, and then they point out all of the struggles that she's been through. That could sway a jury too. Anyway, tell me in the comments what you think. Press subscribe wherever you're downloading podcasts so you don't miss any of us, any of our stories anywhere. We put tons out every single day. So do that in the podcast world. And then on YouTube, check us out there. Just search Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. If you're already there watching, thank you. Hi. And please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to see everything in advance, yeah, we have a new premium option on YouTube where you can be a supporter of the program, be a premium supporter, and then you will get access to all of our episodes basically as we make them. So you get them sometimes days, sometimes weeks in advance of when we're producing them and putting them out. So yeah, get in on that and help us grow this channel. We really definitely appreciate your support. But most importantly, hit subscribe. Start there. Really appreciate it. Until next time. My name is Tony Bruschi, and we will talk again real soon.
If true crime is your obsession, we've got you covered. Press subscribe now to the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today for non-stop coverage, expert insights, and in-depth analysis.